We want to talk with Mr. Rahimi. First of all, let's ask him to introduce himself,
I'm
please.
Mehran Rahimi, the sales manager for Alta Genetics for the West Asia, some of the countries. Also, I'm the managing director and founder of for Aryan Deltagen, who representing Alta Genetics in Iran. Plus, we providing technical services and genetics consulting programs for the dairy farmers, for the large dairy farms.
Thank you very much. Can you call or can you name the countries in west of the Asia?
Some of the countries I'm working with was India and some countries like some countries in the Middle East like Azerbaijan, Iraq, and Oman, or some other countries in this region.
Great, great. And let's talk about the relationship between the comfort and genetic. Are there any relationship?
There is a huge relationship between comfort and the genetics because by the progressing of the genetics we had in the past few decades, the big big progresses we made, our animals need more comfort because these animals are very sensitive to the stress, and for the huge production they have, they need more comfortable area with less stress to be able to perform their genetics and show their استاپ میتونه بکنم بعدش
بله بله.
ببخشید چون یه لحظه این از ذهنم
نمیاد
پرید
داره.
نه از جون رد شد منم فعل بده دارم میگم پرید از یه مقدار عقب ترش شروع میکنم از همه قسمت آخر دوباره کامفورت رو میخوام توضیح بدم ازش. With the huge progresses we made on the genetics in the last decades, especially by the genomic tests, now we have a very high performed genetically animals. These animals need to be very much comfortable, and in order to be comfortable, they need not to be overcrowding. It's a very bad item in this case. Plus ventilation, comfort place for resting. This is a very key items that they need to have to be able to show their potential. And one of the most important things is the conversion of the feed to the milk. And for this reason, we need to create a very comfortable area for the animals, especially in the milking parlor. And also, it's very important to have not a crowded place for the feeding area, and have a good ventilation in the feeding area and the comfortable place for the resting of the animals, which by the freestall, we create a very comfortable place for them. Also, we can create a huge stress for with the animals when we're managing the animals. And this is very important. That we need to train our people to do not create stress for the animals and behave with them in the way that they need. This is very important.
Great. And how do you evaluate the situation of Iran in genetics and comfort?
Iran was a very progressive country in the dairy industry, and it was leader in the region in the West Asia. But in the last decades, because of the less communication with the world and less accessibility to the new industrial products, we are still in a very good position and we create as much as we can. But still, we need some progresses. But the situation of the animal welfare is very great in Iran right now.
Great.
But it's need a huge investment on the progress, especially on the overcrowding, because our farmers always on a growing plants, and they have a very overcrowding areas, especially in their barns, and this make stress for the animals for their production.
Great. And what about Alpha Genetics? Do they have any strategy or any vision for Iran dairy farm?
For the Iranian dairy farms, because the type of the stop crop for the Alpha Genetics, our strategy is different from country to the country. For example, our income for the farmers in Iran is different from the income of the farmers in some other countries because of the pricing of the milk, because of the weather. So we cannot have a very huge animals. We need to have a very moderate size and average size of the animals to be able to tolerate the heat stress. Also, we need the milk pricing in Iran is based on the kilogram and not based on the components. some positives, some components, but the basic is the kilogram of milk production. So we need to focus on the production. And if, as you can see in this seminar, the Khazai dairy farm, by focusing on the milk production, on their genetics, we could reach to the plus 50 kilogram average daily, yearling average, and this is be able to be reached by the genetics. So now in this herd, we have a very main focus on the genetics and productive life, and this create a huge result in the farm income.
So, do you suggest to think about the components or think more about the quantity?
In Iran, the payment is based on the quantity. So if we want to manage a dairy farm, we need to produce milk with basic components. Plus, we have to very focus on reproduction and health. And also, we have to be very careful about the type issues. So we evaluating the animals, type evaluate the animals in all of the farms working with us, and controlling the type traits. And in the cases that they need to be corrected on their type traits, we use specific bulls that they corrected these type of issues in the herd. So focusing on other traits to be able to have a good memory system for milk production, also feet and leg, because these are huge farms and cows need to be walk all around the farm. So they need to have a very good feet and leg. Also, the size should be not so big or not so small, so the average size. These are the issues that we're focusing on, but the main focus and the top trait is the milk production.
Great. Do you know any other farmer, such as Mr. Khazai, who care about components in Iran?
Mr. Khazai, all the farmers have a special look on the components. When you increase the milk production, beside the milk production, the protein production will be increased. This is because they correlate. For some traits like fat percent, in because our country the payment is based on the fluid, not the component. So our main concern is milk production, but we have to be careful to not go very down on the components too. We have to keep them on and maintain them.
Thank you. What about India, Oman, Iraq, and Azerbaijan?
India's story is different. India milk production is need a seminar. It's a different country from the whole world, and the type of the production and type of the farms are very different. But they have a very huge progress in last decades, and they have a very big plan to be able to keep their position as a main milk product producer in the world. For the other countries in the region, because the forage availability, but for their food security for the government, they're focusing on production in their own countries, because maybe it's not financially profitable, but because this is a very basic human food, they're focusing on investment on these two. They are
Right.
growing. Yeah.
What about Oman? Too many people think Oman is a very warm country and is not profitable farming there.
There are many farms in Saudi Arabia. In last 50 years, they're producing milk, and they have no problem. We
Great.
can manage it.
And do they have any plan for milking the cows in hot area as a Riyadh or totally in Saudi Arabia? The genetics are different as a comparison with Iran. No different.
They manage the environment. They use the fans, cooling systems, but they not go for specific genetics. They're using the genetics because if you can manage the climate or make a cow comfort for the cows, you can produce milk everywhere.
As a genetic man in Iran, we have four parts in dairy farms: nutrition, genetics, comfort, and veterinary activity. Which one do you think is more important in the next 10 years?
We make a great progress in the genetics, and the genetics is the basic thing you need. But if you have a genetics and you have don't good nutrition, you cannot reach. If you have a good nutrition, good genetics, no comfort, you cannot reach. And if you have a good genetics, good nutrition, good comfort, but not a good program for reproduction, you are not making a profit. So this is like a wheels work together, and it's like a machine. It's like a system. So everything has an importance. But in my opinion, genetic as a main thing that you need. You must invest on something that it's worth. So if you want to invest on feed, you have to have a good genetics. If you want to invest on a good construction, cow comfort, you need a good genetics. Because if you have a poor genetics, if you have everything best, you cannot produce very well. So we need that genetic as a heart, but we need to optimize everything based on the genetic we have.
Sometimes I see too many farmers overthink about nutrition or overthink about comfort. How do you evaluate that? Is it necessary to think one of them more than any other one?
In my opinion, some farmers are going more in details rather than looking on the general idea. We need to look at our cows in a general. Cows has a standard, Holstein has a standard. We need to follow the standards, and as far as we are in a range of the standards for our animals, it's okay. But if we go more very in details in some issues, we are going to miss some other most important things. But what I learned from the big dairy farms in the West is that they look at the herd in a general. They look animals as a group, not as an individual. So you have to have a plan for the whole herd. You cannot managing the 5,000 milking dairy by looking the animals as an individual. You have to have a plan for all the animals. The most important thing is the young generation, the growing animals. This is very important, which in the last decade become very important in recent years. Become people very focusing on that because they are going to be the mothers and the cows for the next generation. And the most important part that which has been missed in last years was dry period and close up. And now there is a huge attention on this because they found that by focusing on this part of the farm, we can make a huge progress and prevent some of the diseases and the problems we have later in the production.
Thank you. Is there any question that you like to be asked?
We need to have a good place for the animals to produce. The constructions, the comfort, ventilation, milking parlor, and all these must be available. So then our animals could be able to perform in this farm.
Thank you very much.
All right.
یه عکسم بگیریم.